if you're dealing with a narcissist, which you obviously must be, or you wouldn't be here watching these videos, then you're dealing with a liar, because they are one and the same. Narcissists are liars. If you're dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with a liar. That's just one of those things that can't be pulled out of their personality. They just feel like they have to lie all the time to survive. Because remember, just to give you a little primer on narcissism, a little Narcissism 101, narcissists have no inner sense of value. They have to get all their value from the external. And so they get that in the form of supply, which is their lifeblood, their food source. And supply can be money and prestige and compliments, but supply is also controlling and devaluing people and gaslighting people and things like that. But they feel like they have to manipulate all the time. They're master manipulators, but the reason why they're master manipulators is because something happened with them when they were children and they were traumatized in some way, and they drew this conclusion that in order for them to survive in the world, they have to manipulate the world. They just don't believe that they can just get something by just asking for it, by just being normal, by just being reasonable the way the rest of the world acts. So they feel like they have to grasp onto whatever they can to in the world, and they feel like they have to manipulate that. And so a big part of that is lying. And they'll lie about all sorts of things, which is the kind of crazy thing, because they'll even lie about things that are readily verifiable, that down the road it's going to be pretty obvious that they've lied. And so it's pretty easy to catch them in a lie. So let's talk about the kinds of things that narcissists lie about. So one of the things that they'll lie about is they'll say, I promise that I'll take care of this. I promise that I'll do this. I promise that I'll be faithful to you. I promise that I will show up on time. I promise, I promise, I promise. And then they don't end up doing what they say they're going to do, or they don't show up and then they lie about what they were doing instead, or they try to get out of it in some way and they feel like they have to lie about it. So that's number one. They say, I promise. The second type of lie that they'll tell you is, it's not my fault. So they'll say, you know, yeah, that happened, but it wasn't my fault, and here's why. So you'll hear that kind of lie all the time as well. The third type of lie that you'll hear is, don't worry. And, you know, they're supposed to make you feel better because they say, don't worry, you know, they're on top of it, they'll take care of it, whatever, and then they don't end up doing it. That's another type of lie that you'll hear. Another way that they lie is gaslighting. Gaslighting is a huge biggie for narcissists. And if you want to know more about gaslighting, check out my video on gaslighting techniques. And we will definitely drop a link to that below as well. But gaslighting is, in short, just a way of making you think that you're crazy. So they'll say, oh, we talked about that. Don't you remember? You agreed. Or, oh, that's not how that went. Or, oh, no, this is how that went. Don't you remember? And, you know, they just are saying things to you that are just not true to manipulate your thought process so that you start to think that you're paranoid or that the problem is with you. So gaslighting is another big form of lying that they engage in. What happens when you catch a narcissist in a lie? If you confront them, what are they going to do? Deny, deflect, devalue, and dismiss. Those are the 4 Ds, and we're going to go through each one of those. So, deny. It wasn't me. I didn't do that. That didn't happen that way. Nope. Nope. Denied. Okay, so that one's pretty easy to understand. They deny it. Number 2 is deflect. Oh, it was you. or it was this person, or it was some other reason that it happened that way. It was because this happened. It was because I couldn't get there on time. It was because this person dropped the ball. It was because whatever. They're deflecting it onto someone else. It wasn't their responsibility. Somebody else had the problem, or someone or something else was the problem. Number 3 is devalue. Now it's your fault. You were the problem. You're the one. You caused it. It's because of your mistakes. It's because you were too difficult. It was because you weren't good enough. It was because you said something wrong. It was because you did something wrong. It's because you didn't do something right. It's because you did do something that you weren't supposed to do. Whatever. They're going to devalue you. It was your problem, or something that you did that was wrong. And if you want to know more about devaluing, you should check out my video on narcissistic devaluing, because it's actually one of the stages in a narcissistic relationship: love bombing, devaluing, and discarding. So devaluing is a huge part of a narcissistic relationship. And number 4 is dismiss. They'll just dismiss it. Oh, it didn't really matter. Oh, can't we just move on? Oh, let's just not even think about it anymore. Let's just forget about it. So it's just like swept under the rug, and it's just dismissed. So even if it was something super hurtful to you, your feelings aren't going to be acknowledged. They're not going to apologize to you. They're just going to say, oh, too bad, and keep going. If this all sounds familiar, give me a true that in the comments. So just remember, if you catch a narcissist in a lie, the last thing that you're going to get is, oh, you're right, I shouldn't have said that, or you're right, I wasn't truthful, or I apologize, I'm sure I hurt your feelings, I'm sure that was awful for you. You know, those kinds of responses are not going to happen. You're not going to be acknowledged for, you know, whatever they put you through. It's going to be some version of devalue, deflect, dismiss, or deny. You know, it's going to be one of those 4 things. It's not going to have anything to do with them. And the reason why is because they can't have it take away their sense of self. You know, they have so little sense of self that any amount of taking responsibility for their actions to them is almost like dying inside. It's like survival. So you're not going to see them take responsibility for those lies. They're just going to figure out some way that it's not going to get pinned onto them.
Fed up with narcissists walking all over you? Sick of everyone believing their lies while you're paying through the nose in attorney's fees? What if you could hold all the cards for a change? Hey, I'm Rebecca Zung. I'm a top 1% trial attorney, a USA Today bestselling author, and I've spent my entire career helping people slay narcissists in negotiations, most recently through my proven slay method. What if your suffering could become your superpower? Imagine turning all that pain into power, not just for you, but for others too. This is your chance to take back control. You can finally win. Become a high conflict negotiation certified coach. Help others while transforming your own life, and do good for the world. This is your chance. Go to RebeccaZung.com/apply, and I'll show you how to turn the tables for good starting today.
Lie number 1. Lie number 1 is the biggie. And that is, they'll change. And I know this so well because they keep coming back. They do that push-pull thing. You go all the way to the brink going, I'm out of here. There's no way I can take this anymore. And you might have even packed your bags. You might even be out of the door. Or it's a job situation and you think there's no way I'm taking this anymore. And you're gone, and you might have even quit. Then they pull you back. With all the promises, their charm, that smile, that charisma. And there they are again, recognizing this little lie, big lie, huge lie. All these little lies that come up together, the hoovering, the love bombing, it will liberate you so hard, so much. from the chains, the false promises, the breadcrumbing. All of those things are just names for the same thing, really, in a way, which is the false promises that they don't ever plan to follow through on. They don't follow through on their promises ever. It's just words that blah, 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 that come out of their mouth. It's that Charlie Brown thing. They don't follow through. I have a whole video on this. This one word changes everything. How do you know if somebody truly is a narcissist? One word changes everything. And that will empower you to forge your own path. Lie number one that you say to yourself, they'll change. Lie number two is, I can't survive without them. This is a tough one because it comes into trauma bonding. There's a lot that goes into this. And there's that dopamine hit that goes off in your brain. And that dopamine is that hormone of addiction. You want so much that pleasure back. And so when that's going off in your brain, especially when the love bombing is happening and they're telling you that you're the most beautiful, the soulmate, the person that they've never met before, and they're sweeping you off your feet and it's all amazing, right? Believe me when I say to you that you possess an inner strength that you don't even know exists, and a resilience beyond measure, and you're more capable of the surviving and thriving beyond anything that you know that you are. And you can be independent. When you leap, that net will appear and people will come out of the woodwork to help you, and it will be there for you, and you will be liberated, and you will be liberated from the suffocating grasp of this toxic person that you're in the midst of now. You can survive without this person. I know it doesn't feel like it now, maybe sometimes, but you can. The next one is, it's my fault. They make you believe that it's your fault. They tell you that it's your fault, and they make everything out to be your fault. It's your fault that they're not doing well at work. It's your fault that the finances aren't going well. It's your fault that your life is a mess. Then you can't think straight after a while. Your brain starts not going well. Your body is aching after a while, and they start deflecting blame onto everything onto you, fostering feelings of guilt and self-doubt, and you have to recognize that everything is not your fault. They have to take responsibility for their actions, and it has to be a reflection of their shortcomings. It's not a reflection of your worth. You are responsible for your behavior. They're responsible for their behavior, and you're responsible for your triggers, and they're responsible for their triggers, and everybody's responsible for their own selves. And once you understand that, then you can move forward. And that's what highly functional, healthy adults do. Don't take on guilt from other people that doesn't belong to you. You can put that down. The next lie is, they love me. And this is a tough one because maybe they love you in their own way, but it's not a true kind of a love, okay? Because really, they're not capable of love. They love themselves in a way, but they don't even really love themselves. They kind of hate themselves. They're not capable of love. They're not capable of care. And so they can't really love you. It's not personal. It's a result of trauma that happened to them as children. It's a result of damage that happened to them, to their limbic brain, the limbic system part of their brain during childhood. You know, while you can have empathy for that, it's not your responsibility. It's not your fault, and you can't take it personally. You deserve to be treated with honor and dignity and respect, and to be valued and have self-worth, to be able to assert yourself and to assert your needs, and to have somebody meet those needs. Then you can meet that other person's needs. And that's what a healthy relationship looks like. And by challenging this lie, then you can start to see what that looks like. And then you can start to have a journey into reclaiming your self-worth. Another lie is that maybe you somehow deserve to be treated in a certain way, that you deserve the way that they're treating you. I deserve this treatment. I mean, maybe you feel like, oh, I didn't do a good enough job. I didn't meet their expectations. I didn't meet their needs. I fell short of being a good enough
partner, wife, mother, business associate. What's negotiable are contracts, issues, and terms. And what's never negotiable is your self-worth, your self-esteem, and who you are. Nobody is deserving of emotional abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse. Your self-worth is inherent to who you are as a human. You deserve to be treated with dignity. You deserve to be treated with respect. You can distinguish between what true respect and honor looks like. The next lie is that they're the victim. They love to shift things around, especially covert narcissists, to make it look like they are somehow the victim, that somehow you are the one who are perpetrating something upon them. You interrupted them, that you didn't do something that you were supposed to, you didn't bring things up at the right time, that you are cold, calculating. They want to evade accountability for their actions. And so they'll make it seem like you're the one who's deceptive. You're the one who's not trustworthy. You're the one who didn't put their needs first. They'll make it seem like they're the victims in this whole thing because they want to project and deflect and lie and deny. Crucial that you see through that. Again, prioritize your well-being and really know what the truth is of what's going on. The next one is that you're powerless. They try to make you feel like you're powerless. They make you feel like they're all powerful. They make you feel like if you ever leave, if you ever try to do something, that they're going to come after you, that you're not going to be able to have anything, that they have everybody lined up against you. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that kind of thing. But the truth is, you have plenty of power. They're never as powerful as everybody thinks that they are. Never, never, never. The truth of the matter is they're way more afraid of you than you are of them. It's absolutely the case. You have the power to decide your outcome and chart your own course. The next lie is that you're never going to find anybody else. This is specific for people who are looking for somebody else. They tell you this lie like, oh, you're so lucky that you have me. No one else wants you, not even your family. And they perpetuate these lies because they want you to be dependent upon them. They're afraid that you're going to leave. And so they want you to be overly dependent upon them because they don't want to be alone. They want you to only trust them, to have all of your self-worth wrapped up in them. The next one is that you can fix them. I can fix them. I can stay because I can help them. I can fix them. I can make them better. I can help them with their trauma. These people need to want help. They're going to drown and you're going to end up drowning with them. It just perpetuates a cycle of abuse. They're going underwater and you're going under with them. And it just ends up making you drained is what that ends up doing. And it ends up enabling their behavior because you teach people how to treat you. And so the more that you try to set boundaries and then they don't end up respecting them and then you let it go and then it happens over and over and over again, the more that they just know that you're going to stay and they don't have to respect your boundaries and then they can treat you however they want. So it's essential that you prioritize your well-being and your boundaries and you set your priorities and decide what your self-worth is going to be and protect yourself. The next one is that they're just misunderstood. I'm the only one that understands them. I get them. I see who they truly are. They're really actually a good person. They act like they're not good people, but I understand them. They're good people. They're just misunderstood. It's so common for people to misunderstand that they're like, oh, they're actually really good people underneath all of this and attribute like their behavior to trauma. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people who've been married for 30 years who think, the reason why that they had been staying for so long is because their trauma and that they really understood I was helping them and that I stayed because of that. They basically have held you captive all of these years through these promises of I'm gonna get better and I'm gonna do the thing and I'm gonna do the work and it's 6 months away and now it's a year away and now it's 2 years away. While understanding the root causes of their behavior can be beneficial, it's never really an answer because it doesn't
get you to where you want to be, right? You actually have to see progress. You actually have to see them fulfilling on the promises that they're making you. And that's the part that you don't actually see happening. So this is where you have to see them follow through on their promises and actually get help and do the things that they say they're going to do, which is things that they don't do. Before we continue, make sure you hit that subscribe button and become part of our empowering community. And if you need phrases for disarming narcissists, make sure you grab mine at disarmthenarc.com. They're phrases for invaluable strategies for disarming narcissists and reclaiming your power. So make sure you do that too. And join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. So the next lie is, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Thinking like I'm not good enough, so there's no point in me leaving, or I'm not smart enough to like do anything else. They get you thinking like that you can't do anything without them and you can't make decisions without them. And the next one is actually pretty similar, which is they know what's best for me. So I'm not good enough and they know what's best for me, or they undermine your self-worth and instill these feelings of inadequacy, like that they're the smartest ones, that they know everything. And I've been in these client meetings where they're like, oh, he knows everything or she knows everything, where they think that they're God. People think that they're God. Trust your instincts. They're not. Know that you have self-worth. You're probably a whole lot smarter than you think you are. The next one is that if you do decide to break up with them, that you can work this out in a collaborative approach so that you can work through things, because you can't, that they're going to somehow not lie to you, that they're somehow going to work on your behalf for you, because they're not going to. If they were lying to you before, they're going to continue to lie for you. Everything is a manipulation. Just remember that. Just know that it's their fear of being alone that is continuously manipulating you. They want to control you. You have actually way more power in this relationship than you realize that you do. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's be real. Therapy can feel like a really big investment, but your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Traditional in-person therapy can cost $100 to $250 per session, but with BetterHelp, you can save up to 50% per session on average. You pay a flat weekly fee, which means more peace of mind for less. Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. BetterHelp gives you that, all from the comfort from your home. And with over 30,000 therapists to choose from and 5 million people served globally, this is the world's largest online therapy platform, and you can switch therapists at any time. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/negotiate today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/negotiate. Right, so let's jump right into the 8 comments that reveal a narcissist dishonesty. All right, so the very first one are self-praising comments. Narcissists often use comments to praise themselves, to seek validation, to seek admiration from others. So these often reveal their deep need for constant affirmation and their beliefs that they are superior to other people. So they might say things like, wow, I'm just so great. And they might even say, haha, just kidding. But they aren't really, just kidding. And they might say things like this in a way that it makes it appear like they're sort of just not really being serious, but they are sort of being serious. They're trying to get people to notice them, where they're trying to get people to compliment them. They use comments to excessively praise themselves and seek validation and admiration from others. The second one is the deflecting comment, where they are avoiding taking responsibility for their actions by directing the focus onto others or external factors. So they're refusing to acknowledge their mistakes and instead blaming others to protect their fragile egos. So this might look like or show up like, I failed the project because my team members didn't support me. It's their fault, not mine. or I wouldn't have lied to you, but you pushed me into a corner with your questions. It was your fault that I had to do what I had to do, not taking responsibility for their own actions. That's number 2. The next one is the gaslighter comment, the gaslighting comment. This is a person who is constantly manipulating others by denying or distorting reality, trying to make the other person feel like they're crazy by saying things that distort reality, either completely distorting reality by just flat out lying about what happened, or making them doubt their own perceptions of reality. We talked about that and you agreed to it. Don't you remember? And you know that conversation never took place. Or they might twist what actually happened or twist the truth, try to create confusion. This is all trying to destabilize the person, or just trying to project and deflect. You're overreacting. I never said that. You're too sensitive. You're misunderstanding. You're just being paranoid. I could go on and on, but you get the idea. So that's the next comment that reveals a narcissist's dishonesty. If I'm on point so far, give me a true that in the comments below. I know you guys have seen some of these so far. The next one is the invalidating comment. The way this shows up is a narcissist who undermines other people's feelings or experiences by, to maintain control and diminish their self-esteem. They invalidate the emotions of others because they cannot empathize with them. They either can't process it, or they don't want to have to deal with it. They don't have the patience for it, or they just can't. So they just say, you're making too much of it. You're making too much of a big deal about it. You're too sensitive. You're overly dramatic. It's not that serious, that sort of thing. So they just completely invalidate what the other person is saying. That's the invalidating comment. So, and by the way, if you are dealing with something like that, where your feelings just aren't heard, that is so painful. That's where you really need to have the support system around you. If you don't have a support system, if you feel isolated, if you feel like you don't have other people around you who understand what it is that you're dealing with, or even if you do, but you want to connect with more people, I definitely suggest that you come join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. Come join us. There's a lot of people in there who are having discussions every single day. And also, if you need access to therapy and you don't have it, I have a sponsor on this channel, which is BetterHelp, and you can access that through betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung. It is a sponsor for me, which means that we receive commissions on it. It doesn't cost you any extra. It's access to help and support that you can trust. The next one is the passive aggressive comment. I think passive aggressiveness is like one of the worst ones. It's so cowardly. You see this a lot of times from covert narcissists. Covert narcissists are just like the worst ones in some ways to me. There's very indirect, sarcastic comments. It's a way to express hostility without appearing overly aggressive. So they kind of provoke you and revel in power in a way. It's like a little jab, way to manipulate you covertly. It's sort of like, oh, it must be nice to have all this time in the world to waste. I wish I had time to just work on things all day. Do whatever you'd like. I'll just clean up after you. It's so very, very passive aggressive. They're not honest about the fact that they don't really like you or they don't support you. So that's number 5. Number 6 is the attention seeking comment. They're trying to get attention from you or from others. And so they feel like they want to be the source of attention, and they will do anything they can to get back into that spot. Like, oh, I can't believe this is happening to me. Oh, it's always about me. Oh, I'm feeling so down today. They posted on Facebook, and I've been sick for so long. I can't believe everybody is talking about me still. They act like they don't want everybody to be talking about them, but obviously they're posting it all over social media. And so obviously they do want people to be talking about them. It's like they're trying to get the attention of people on this sort of thing. All right. So that's number 6. And then number 7 is the victim card comment, especially covert narcissists. They love to play that victim because they want people to support them, and they love to use this tactic to avoid accountability and gain further control over others. Nobody really cares about me. Oh, everybody's here to get me. I just always get the short end of the stick. Oh, don't worry about me. I'll just sit over here. I don't mind being alone. Or, the world is conspiring against me. That's number 7. Number 8 is the entitlement comment. All narcissists feel like they are entitled. So they believe that they deserve special attention, special treatment, special privileges. They express it in their comments, feel entitled, and they should have unwavering admiration, unwavering support from everyone around them. Why am I not getting the special treatment? Why aren't my kids paying for my flight? They should be paying for my flight to come for the holidays. Why should I have to pay for myself? I deserve the best of everything. I'm exceptional. I'm unique. Basically, I deserve the best. People should pander to me, kind of an attitude. That's the entitlement comment. Those are the 8 comments that reveal a narcissist's dishonesty. I would love to know which ones you guys have heard the most. Let me know in the comments. Summer's right around the corner and I'm already planning my next getaway. I love using points for travel and I'm always looking for ways to earn more. Here's a life hack I wish I'd known sooner. When you pay your rent through Built, you earn flexible, transferable points and unlock exclusive benefits along the way. Let me explain. There's no cost to join, and when you pay your rent through Build, you unlock flexible points that can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines and a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. When you pay your rent through Built, you unlock 2 powerful benefits. First, you earn one of the industry's most valuable points on rent every month, no matter where you live or who your landlord is. Your rent now works for you. Second, you gain access to exclusive neighborhood benefits in your city. Built's neighborhood benefits are things like extra points on dining out, complimentary post-workout shakes, free mats or towels at your favorite fitness studios, and unique benefits or experiences that only Built members can access. And when you're ready to travel, Built points can be converted to your favorite miles and hotel points around the world, meaning that your rent can literally take you places. So if you're not earning points on Built rent, my question is, what are you waiting for? Start paying your rent through Built and take advantage of your neighborhood benefits by going to joinbuilt.com/negotiate. That's JOINBILT.com/negotiate. Make sure to use our URL so they know that we sent you. That's joinbuilt/negotiate to sign up to joinbuilt.com/negotiate today. Now, if you're dealing with a narcissist, which you obviously must be, or you wouldn't be here watching these videos, then you're dealing with a liar, because they are one and the same. Narcissists are liars. If you're dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with a liar. That's just one of those things that can't be pulled out of their personality. They just feel like they have to lie all the time to survive. Because remember, just to give you a little primer on narcissism, a little Narcissism 101, narcissists have no inner sense of value. They have to get all their value from the external. And so they get that in the form of supply, which is their lifeblood, their food source. And supply can be money and prestige and compliments, but supply is also controlling and devaluing people and gaslighting people and things like that. But they feel like they have to manipulate all the time. They're master manipulators, but the reason why they're master manipulators is because something happened with them when they were children and they were traumatized in some way, And they drew this conclusion that in order for them to survive in the world, they have to manipulate the world. They just don't believe that they can just get something by just asking for it, by just being normal, by just being reasonable, the way the rest of the world acts. So they feel like they have to grasp onto whatever they can to in the world, and they feel like they have to manipulate that. And so a big part of that is lying. And they'll lie about all sorts of things, which is the kind of crazy thing, because they'll even lie about things that are readily verifiable, that down the road it's going to be pretty obvious that they've lied. And so it's pretty easy to catch them in a lie. So let's talk about the kinds of things that narcissists lie about. So one of the things that they'll lie about is they'll say, I promise that I'll take care of this. I promise that I'll do this. I promise that I'll be faithful to you. I promise that I will show up on time. I promise. And then they don't end up doing what they say they're going to do, or they don't show up and then they lie about what they were doing instead, or they try to get out of it in some way and they feel like they have to lie about it. So that's number one, they say, I promise. The second type of lie that they'll tell you is, it's not my fault. So they'll say, yeah, that happened, but it wasn't my fault, and here's why. So you'll hear that kind of lie all the time as well. The third type of lie that you'll hear is, don't worry. And, they're supposed to make you feel better because they say, don't worry, they're on top of it, they'll take care of it, whatever, and then they don't end up doing it. That's another type of lie that you'll hear. Another way that they lie is gaslighting. Gaslighting is a huge biggie for narcissists. And if you want to know more about gaslighting, check out my video on gaslighting techniques, and we will definitely drop a link to that below as well. But gaslighting is, in short, just a way of making you think that you're crazy. So they'll say, oh, we talked about that. Don't you remember? You agreed. Or, oh, that's not how that went. Or, oh, no, this is how that went. Don't you remember? And, they just are saying things to you that are just not true to manipulate your thought process so that you start to think that you're paranoid or that the problem is with you. So gaslighting is another big form of lying that they engage in. What happens when you catch a narcissist in a lie? If you confront them, what are they going to do? Deny, deflect, devalue, and dismiss. Those are the 4 Ds, and we're going to go through each one of those. So, deny. It wasn't me. I didn't do that. That didn't happen that way. Nope. Denied. Okay, so that one's pretty easy to understand. They deny it. Number 2 is deflect. Oh, it was you. Or it was this person, or it was some other reason that it happened that way. It was because this happened. It was because I couldn't get there on time. It was because this person dropped the ball. It was because whatever. They're deflecting it onto someone else. It wasn't their responsibility. Somebody else had the problem, or someone or something else was the problem. Number 3 is devalue. Now it's your fault. You were the problem. You're the one. You caused it. It's because of your mistakes. It's because you were too difficult. It was because you weren't good enough. It was because you said something wrong. It was because you did something wrong. It's because you didn't do something right. It's because you did do something that you weren't supposed to do. Whatever. They're going to devalue you. It was your problem or something that you did that was wrong. And if you want to know more about devaluing, you should check out my video on narcissistic devaluing, because it's actually one of the stages in a narcissistic relationship: love bombing, devaluing, and discarding. So devaluing is a huge part of a narcissistic relationship. And number 4 is dismiss. They'll just dismiss it. oh, it didn't really matter. Oh, can't we just move on? Oh, let's just not even think about it anymore. Let's just forget about it. So it's just like swept under the rug. It's just dismissed. So even if it was something super hurtful to you, your feelings aren't going to be acknowledged. They're not going to apologize to you. They're just going to say, oh, too bad, and keep going. If this all sounds familiar, give me a true that in the comments. So just remember, if you catch a narcissist in a lie, the last thing that you're going to get is, oh, you're right, I shouldn't have said that, or you're right, I wasn't truthful, or I apologize, I'm sure I hurt your feelings, I'm sure that was awful for you. You know, those kinds of responses are not going to happen. You're not going to be acknowledged for, you know, whatever they put you through. It's going to be some version of devalue, deflect, dismiss, or deny. You know, it's going to be one of those four things. It's not going to have anything to do with them. And the reason why is because they can't have it take away their sense of self. You know, they have so little sense of self that any amount of taking responsibility for their actions to them is almost like dying inside. It's like survival. So you're not going to see them take responsibility for those lies. They're just going to figure out some way that it's not going to get pinned onto them.
6 top lies all narcissists want you to believe. They think you're buying this stuff, right? They think you're buying it because they're so charming and they're so charismatic, and they come on with their love bombing, and they come on with their thing, and they've got their lines and their stealth and their manipulation. They think that you're buying this stuff right from the beginning. You know, we do. We do. I fell for it too. I did too. You know why? Because they're that good. You know, they start grooming, they start figuring this stuff out at an early age. You know how that book, The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, where he talks about it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at something, to become really good at something. You know what 10,000 hours is? It's like 4 years. I mean, it's not like that long. Narcissists have been working on figuring out their craft since they were kids. This is survival for them. So they know how to read people. They're very good at this. But once you're onto them, you're onto them. So don't worry about that. I got you covered. And by the way, if you are negotiating with narcissists, you definitely want to grab my free Crush My Negotiation Prep Worksheet, free 15-page ebook at crushmydeal.com. Make sure you grab that, crushmydeal.com. I've had many thousands of people win their entire negotiations just on that, crushmydeal.com. Go grab that. So, number 1 top lie that all narcissists want you to believe: you can be vulnerable with me. You can share all your inner secrets with me. Tell me all your innermost secrets. Yeah, you can share them all with me. And guess what? Guess when you're going to hear them again? When they want to hurt you, you will be hearing them absolutely again. They're going to shift it all around. They're going to use them against you in court. They're going to use them against you in negotiations. They're going to tell whoever they want. They're going to throw them back in your face. They're going to say, you can't even do this. You can't even do that. You're so weak. You're this, you're that. Oh, 100%. I mean, because they have no conscience. That's the problem with you. You can be vulnerable with me. It's so sick and sad. That's what they'll do. Other people are like, I would never. I mean, I know I would never use somebody's most awful things against them. It wouldn't even occur to me. It would actually make me nauseous to even think about that. But they would do it. You don't even think about it. They do. I've seen it all the time in court. Oh my gosh. I've seen malignant narcissists turn around and actually file false pleadings against people, accuse people of being child molesters if they haven't been, accuse people of being wife beaters, child beaters, all sorts of things. They don't care sometimes, depending on the level of narcissism, they don't care. You can be vulnerable with me. That's one of the lies that narcissists will tell you that they want you to believe. Number two, you can count on me. Oh, yeah, sure. Narcissists hate you being needing them. That's like the last thing they want is for you to like actually want to count on them. They don't want to have to be there for you. They don't want you to like be sick around them. They don't want you to need them in any way, shape, or form. Because when you go back for some withdrawals on your deposits, you just doing things for them is just payment for being in their space. If you want anything back in return, then the payment is high. It may be like 1,000-fold for the most minuscule scrap. And then you'll hear about it for years on end that they actually did something for you. I mean, please. Yeah, you can count on me. Number three, everything. One of the lies that they tell, we're going through the lies that all narcissists want you to believe. They want you to believe that everything in their life is your fault or your problem. All their problems or all the things that go wrong, all the failures, everything that bad that ever happened in the house or at the office or wherever it is that you have them in your environment or whatever is your fault. Everything is your fault. That's number three. They project and deflect. They lie and deny. That is the number one agenda. Project and deflect, lie and deny. The four top agendas, depending on how you want to look at that. But it's just not them. And if you've seen any of these things so far, give me a totally in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys think. Give me a totally in the comments if you guys have seen any of these things so far. Number four of the top lies all narcissists want you to believe is I will change or I have changed. You're going to see everything is different. You know, this is the big old future fake. This is whether you're dealing with them at work or in a marriage or a relationship. You catch them in a situation or, you know, something happens and you go to marriage counseling, then everything is going to be different now, that sort of thing. I've changed, I will change, everything is different. I feel like it's almost like they're holding their breath, holding on tight for a period of time because it's like, how long do I have to engage in this charade until I can go back to being my normal self and let out my breath? And then once they do, hell hath no fury because they go right back to being the way they used to be and then worse because sometimes they want to make you pay. They're angry, resentful, and upset that you made them do these things that they didn't want to do in the first place. It's not even worth the I've changed, I will change little phase a lot of the time. So that's number four. Number five lie all narcissists tell, they want you to believe is I would never lie. I would never lie. I cannot tell a lie. I'm the most truthful person you would ever meet. I have so much integrity. I would never lie. I tell the truth all the time. This is the person who tells the most lies of all people, constantly are catching them in lies. And, you know, the truth bears out. It bears out very quickly. You can tell if a person is a person of their word by how they behave, how they conduct themselves. Are they following through with what they say they're going to do?
How does that happen? Did they say they were going to do something and then actually go through with it? You'll see, right? So that's number 5. And most of the time they don't. And that's when that becomes your leverage, by the way. That's a big piece of your leverage, which is a good thing. I know a lot of times people are like, oh, they lied and I hated that and they got away with it. How are they getting away with this? But they don't get away with it because becomes your leverage. Every time I would see a narcissist lying, I'd be thinking, thank you. I get to use this against you now. Okay, so that's number 5. Number 6, no one loves you like I do. No one loves you like I do. This is such a huge lie. And they do this a lot of times to isolate you from family, to isolate you from friends. They don't want you to have other people in their lives. So they're jealous, they get upset. If you spend time with other people, they become resentful a lot of times, raging. If you spend time with other people, sometimes they even have tantrums if you spend time with other people, and it can be quite upsetting. Sometimes you even have to make choices. So if you're dealing with a covert narcissist, they use this secret weapon against you to make you think that you're crazy. Well, covert narcissists are incredibly convincing. They're incredibly convincing. I think they're the most dangerous type of narcissist. Okay. I think they're the most dangerous because they are so convincing. They're the ones out there looking like the most normal. Other types of narcissists, grandiose narcissists, are out there telling everybody how amazing they are, how great they are, how wonderful they are. They're the ones out there that go in restaurants or go into a room and say, I did this and I did that, and look at my accomplishments and look how amazing I am. Covert narcissists don't do that. Covert narcissists say, oh, I don't want attention. I hate attention, even though they do want attention, even though they do want the world to think that they're wonderful and all of that. And so they do have this deep need, wanting, the world to think that they're amazing. And the reason why they are incredibly convincing in a lot of ways is that they also believe their own made up reality of themselves. They've also almost kind of convinced themselves that they are honest and trustworthy and loyal and considerate. And they genuinely believe a lot of that, even as they're gaslighting people and as they're taking advantage of people and as they're doing these things, victimizing people. And that's part of the reason why they're so insidious and very, very stealth, and they present very well, and they put themselves in positions where they are often clergy or doctors or lawyers, or they're the first ones to show up when somebody is sick, or the first ones to take care, but only if it's opportunistic, only if there's going to be an audience, only if it's the right type of audience. Only if the scenario presents itself to be the right one. They have to appear in the right way. And they're masters at orchestrating situations, a lot of times, where they can pit people against each other, where they can dig deep wells where it looks like they are the good person and the other person is bad, or they set themselves up so that they're calm and the other person is crazy. So here they are, the rational one, and the other person is out of control, sobbing or screaming, and they're just, I don't know what happened there, officer, while the onlookers are, oh my goodness, I look at that, so, they can be the ones who are, I tried for years to get the person help, or I tried for years to do all that I could. And they come off as the likable one. They come off as the calm one. They come off as the charming one in marriage counseling, or, to the therapists as the much more rational and calm one. And they can get everyone to believe that that's what's going on. They're masters at smear campaigns and at planting seeds, starting the planting of seeds. Oh, I'm so concerned about, how much they had to drink that night. I just, I'm just really concerned about that situation. I just want to make sure that everybody's okay. Oh, my heart. It's like that. And just lining up the flying monkeys and just starting to groom, and so those are the kinds of things that they'll do. And they start to weave. They start to weave and lead people down these paths, and people are just unaware of what they're doing. They're just unaware of what's happening because they're so good at doing these things and just remaining calm. And so their real secret weapon, and that's what I'm leading to here, is that they are masters, absolute masters of plausible deniability. And what I mean by that is sabotaging and undermining in very, very subtle, insidious ways, but then being able to just look very, very innocent and saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. And, so for example, something could be like, I only said something about, I knew somebody said something about their child's birthday or something, and realizing that it was before a date that was something that was going to be inflammatory to something else. And then they putting dates together that are, is going to upset something to somebody else. And then the other person realizes that that's upsetting to this other person. And then they know that it's going to be upsetting to this other person. But then they go, oh, I didn't realize that I said that date and that was going to be upsetting to you. And then the other person, goes, oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize, and they just play it off as if they didn't realize that date was going to be upsetting. I had no idea. I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I didn't realize, that sort of thing. They'll make a dish and give it to the other person, and the dish has something in it that the person is allergic to, like cashews. And then the other person gets an allergic reaction from it. And then they say, I didn't realize it had cashews in it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Oh, I didn't realize that. They did realize that. But, they play it off like they didn't know. Plausible deniability. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that when I was going to do something on your computer, that was going to delete that off of your computer and off your calendar. So I'm so stupid. That sort of thing. And they do know that when they were going to do that it was going to delete it off your calendar. Plausible deniability, undermining you, but acting like I didn't know that was going to happen, to avoid taking responsibility, but everybody else, when you tell that story, everybody else goes, well, I'm sure that was inadvertent because they're so nice, because they're such a good person. I'm sure that couldn't have been on purpose. Oh, you're making too much of it. That sort of thing. When you try to tell other people, I think you're just making too much. And then when they're telling other people, they go, I was just trying to be helpful.
I was just trying to be nice. Gosh, you know, they do they really think that I would try to make them sick on purpose? That's just so crazy. You know, that sort of thing. And sometimes I do believe they really believe their stuff. Like they really think that I would be that horrible of a person, and they start to even believe their own lies sometimes. It actually is like that crazy making. And so I believe that the worst secret weapon that they have is this plausible deniability, where they actually start to make you think that you're absolutely crazy and the world cannot see it. The world cannot see it at all. And you are just over time, it's like death by a thousand cuts. And it's like not so bad that you just feel like you can go to the world and go, look, this person's beating me, or this person's cheating on me, or this person is that bad. You know, it's these little tiny things over the years that just add up, add up, add up, where you're just sucks at your soul over time, and it drains the life out of you over time. And so that's why I think it's just so insidious and so horrible. And they have this way also of sort of this double language and this double, you know, like saying things, these like kind of things that almost look like compliments, but they're not actually compliments. And it's very, very insidious the way covert narcissists work on you and work on your brain. And they're extremely, extremely toxic and extremely, extremely poisonous. What are 7 horrible lies that the narcissist is going to tell about you to their new supply? Number 1 is, they took all my money and left me homeless. Boo hoo. Yep, that's what they're going to say. They stole all my money. And that's why I don't have any. They left me homeless and penniless. They love to play the victim for their new supply. And of course, that's why they're going to get their new supply to pay for everything for them. And, you know, the old expression, nobody falls in love faster than a narcissist who needs a place to live. So they're going to get their new supply to pay for everything for them, move into their new supplies place. And the new supply is going to feel so sorry for them. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you had to go through all of that. Yes, I know. They took all my money, left me homeless and penniless. And they'll get into all this agreement about how horrible you were because you took everything from them. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, oh my goodness, we hadn't had sex in forever because, you know, they repulsed me. They're going to make it seem like sex hadn't been a thing in forever. And even if it's totally not true, they'll make it seem like there hadn't been a physical relationship in a really, really long time. They just make up lies about whatever your relationship was to make it seem like it was way worse than it actually was, because they want to make it seem like they are such a victim. They want their new source of supply to feel sorry for them and gang up on you. Because then, of course, if there are ongoing issues, especially with the children, if there are children involved, they want their new source of supply to help turn the children against you, to get involved. I can tell you as an attorney, then the new sources of supply starts writing all the messages in our family wizard, starts getting involved, starts writing all the messages to the attorneys as well. It gets super, super messy, really, really annoying. I can tell you that, that's for sure. Number 3 is, I started to allude to this, they turned my children against me. So now what happens is, if the children are against this person, they're going to blame it on you. They're going to say that you are the one that alienated the children. You're the one that caused the problems with the children. That the reason why the children don't like this other person is because you caused it. It had nothing to do with them. It had nothing to do with the fact that they may be a bad person, or maybe they were a bad parent, or maybe they weren't good to you. And the kids saw that. It had all to do with the fact that you turned the children against them. All right. That's the next one. The next one is that I was never in love with him or her. And, this can be especially painful for you to hear. And let me just tell you, don't take that personally, because the narcissist never could love you anyway. And I have a video on why the narcissist hates you. And I would definitely watch that video, because the narcissist doesn't have the capacity to love anyone, including themselves. They hate everybody. So definitely check out that video, and don't take anything personally that the narcissist is saying about you, about them, about any of this. But this one can be especially painful to hear. So just take it with a grain of salt when this might come back to you. And by the way, if you've heard any of these so far, give me a totally in the comments, because you probably have. I'm sure you probably have. So give me a totally in the comments so far. The next one is, I wanted to commit suicide every day when I was with him or her. I mean, they get so dramatic. They thrive on this drama. So they'll say things like that. Oh my God, I was like in such a depression every day when I was with him or her. I wanted to commit suicide. I couldn't wait to escape when I was with him or her. Please. I mean, like they act like every day was like in prison when they were with you. That's another one. Another one was, they'll make it sound like you were so jealous or possessive, because they want to make it sound like you were so in love with him or her, that you were clawing all over him or her all the time, and that you just couldn't live without this person, but they couldn't stand you. So you were super jealous and possessive. They never loved you. They were repulsed by you. You took all their money. They were victimized by you. They have this huge narrative about how jealous and possessive and in love with you, but yet, they were completely repulsed by you. So that's the next one. And then the last one is that you told lies about them to everyone. So whatever the narrative is that's going around about them, about how horrible they were, whether it was they were abusive or a horrible parent or whatever it is, all of it is a bunch of lies that you spread. It has nothing to do with the truth. Maybe it was that they didn't pay child support, or that they were a terrible provider, whatever it is that you might have said, they're alcoholic, or, all of it was a bunch of lies that you spread. It had nothing to do with reality. You caused it. They had no culpability, no responsibility in any of that. They were perfect. They were a perfect wife, perfect husband, perfect mother, father, whatever it was. You were just horrible. They have no idea why you were the way you were, because, obviously you were crazy or delusional and just caused all of this problem all on your own.